Hey guys, what's going on? I'm back with probably just one or two more episodes of Paper Mario. I might make this one a little longer because the last one I was sort of cut short in everything that I was saying. But in the last episode I addressed just things about, or my opinion, on why video games are misunderstood and kinda how they're perceived and what the problem is. And I mentioned an experience that I had where I played a lot of video games in order to sort of cope with all the stress and everything that was going on. And I know that's not always the case for everybody, but I also am aware that there are other people who use it for those type of reasons. Because a lot of times, well, especially in the teenager years, kids seem to be stressed out by a lot, and video games tend to be that medium where they can remain calm and vent out and sort of escape everything, because they just go into the world that they're playing or that they're experiencing, and they just take that and ride with it for as long as they play. And it's, I don't know, to me it's something wonderful, that something so, how do I explain it, something that seems so dull and so unimportant to some people. I don't know how it's possible unless they just haven't played a video game at all, because that's really the only way that I can really foresee that being the case. Because it's like kids with reading. Kids always complain about reading and always say that they don't do anything or it's not worth their time or something like that. But all it takes is a good book, and that kid will be hooked on reading for probably his whole life. And the same goes for video games, because to me, honestly, the first time I picked up an N64 controller, I was kind of entertained, but I also wasn't, because to me, it just seemed like, oh, I'm just moving this character around and not really doing anything. But then again, I was playing a game that I didn't really enjoy, and I don't know, it's like reading a bad book or watching a really bad movie. And for video games, if you get that right game, or you find those right sort of genre games, then it'll be like, you'll be floored to like imagine how something like video games could bring you so much joy and could take up so much of your time. Because to me, I didn't really know that I enjoyed RPGs until much later, mostly because I wasn't exposed to them. I usually played things like Crash Bandicoot or things like that, where I guess you could say they're kiddish, but they were definitely not as intricate as some of the RPGs are. And once I got another RPG, I forget which one was my first one. It might have been Wild Arms, I think it's called, for the PlayStation 2. And that was something that kind of blew me away, because at first I didn't understand it, because to me it was simply, oh, I'll pick an attack and then I'll do this. But it became something a lot more, like, it was strategy, I guess. and it was something that actually made me think about what I was doing, instead of like the Crash Bandicoot games, or other games like that where you just kind of run in a straight line. It's sort of linear and you don't really have any freedom. But once I got into RPGs and stuff, I was like, whoa. Just to see how much detail was put into it, and how much I could actually do, and how much was left up to me as a player in terms of choice. Because I don't know how to explain it. To me, just having the freedom to do as you please is one of like the greatest things. Like, if you're playing, or if you're doing a project, I mean, and you're sort of blatantly given instructions, and you're just told to do everything a certain way, then you won't really have fun with it. But when you're mm, but when you're playing a game and you're like, how do I explain it? When you can do what you want, or you can customize your moveset in a way that you like it, you can make your own team, get all the items that you find necessary, go the path that you think is right, grind as much as you want, then to me that's really empowering, and it adds even more to the whole immersive thing that I was talking about earlier. Mm, just to me, that's what brings me the most joy when I play video games. I know to some people it might be some shooters or something like that, but that just doesn't do it for me. The only time that I really enjoy myself playing those games is if I'm playing with a friend. And even if I'm playing with a friend, I care less about the game itself, and more about just talking to my friend and that sort of thing. And even that in itself, um, it shows that video games have provided sort of like a medium in which people can communicate. Because I've met a ton of people online, people from like Norway and Sweden that I would have never met before, but I did through video games, through MMOs and stuff, where you come into contact with people from all over the world. And I know people say, oh, you'll find friends online through other means, but to me, video games is one of the better ways that you can do that, mostly because you have something to do. Because something like a chat room or anything like that, you're just kind of sitting there and not really doing much except talking. So unless you absolutely are dying to have a conversation, then you won't get very far with the person that you just got into contact with. But like I said with video games, like if you're playing something like an RPG, then you can go out and start doing quests together. Or if you're playing something like Call of Duty, then you guys could, if you guys like get along with each other, which a lot of times people don't, but in the off chance that you do, then you can add them to your friends list and then just party up and PlayStation Destroy, do whatever you want, and just start building off of that and start having like a group of friends that you play with every day. And then playing video games becomes less of something that you use in order to relieve stress to something that you do for fun, and something that you do to meet friends and build communication skills. But like a lot of times and a lot of things with video games, this is really overlooked, and the good aspects of video games are really just brushed aside because people think that, oh, there are other things that can do this, or why don't they just go outside and make friends. But we're in a day and age where a computer is at almost every kid's fingertips, And kids who enjoy playing games play games on their phone. They have a console at home. And if there's some good to come out of that, then I don't see why not. I don't see why you wouldn't take that opportunity and use that console or that phone or the computer or anything as a way to make friends or a way to build communication skills. Yeah. Anyway, that was basically my main point. I kind of started rambling off there, but general idea is the same. People think video games are bad. Video games aren't all that bad. People just don't understand. And that's kind of the biggest issue. Anyway, I think that about wraps up this little mini series. I'll probably start it off or do a couple more episodes later. But for now, that is it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.